to go live on. Okay, perfect. I think I'm live. Okay, perfect. So, hello everyone. I was waiting to go live on Facebook. So, I'm live on Facebook as well as Instagram. Hi, Devika. Hi, Kara. Today, we are going to talk about bloating as well as um, extreme gas. And we will be discussing a few reasons why you are extremely bloated, why you are extremely gassy. For some reason, I haven't been able to share this on Facebook from the StreamYard to different groups. So I have no idea what's happening. I want to say a quick hi to Laura as well. So thank you guys for watching this. So bloating, gas, they can be extremely uncomfortable, sensations. Sometimes when you're eating, you suddenly find yourself that you'll have to unbutton your pants or unzip your pants just to make yourself comfortable, or you can be extremely gassy and it puts you in very uncomfortable situations, where your friends and family might noticing it, and it's not, of course, a comfortable thing, right? So we will be discussing about bloating, we will be discussing about gas, why it happens, and what can you do to keep that away. So they are like, typically when we come to bloating, one of the most common causes is overeating, right? So when you are eating bigger portions of meals, and if you are unable to digest it, you will feel bloated. Often eating very rich fatty foods, right? Because fat takes a lot of time to digest, and that will create a lot of bloating as well. And if you eat super fast, right, and if you eat um, like heavy foods that do very fast, that will also make you feel extremely bloated and extremely uncomfortable, right? Now when it comes to gassy, right, feeling gassy, a lot of the gas comes from the swallowed air, and half the gas, and this air can be swallowed while you're talking or eating food on a regular basis, or there could be a lot of the bacteria in the gut. Especially when you have bad bacteria in the gut, they will produce gases like methane, and that would lead to a lot of odor, when you have gas and farting. So that's one of the reasons why you need to ensure that you have a healthy gut, and that healthy gut will make sure that you're not going to experience a lot of bloating or a lot of gases, right? So that is the first point. So I've discussed the reasons why you're bloated, why you're gassy. Now, what are the most common causes from a food perspective, right? What are the common foods that are going to leave you bloated and gassy? The most common thing that people struggle with and that will lead to bloating as well as gas and can also lead to diarrhea is lactose intolerance. So even when it comes to dairy, there could be an intolerance to whey or casein, right? And in my practice, I've seen that whey casein, it will lead to a lot more diarrhea. But lactose intolerance is when you don't have the enzyme lactase to break down the milk sugar lactose. And this could be a temporary situation where there is a lot of inflammation in the gut, and that's why you're not producing this lactase. Or it could be like a permanent thing as well, where there is a lot of damage done to the gastrointestinal tract, and now you're not able to produce lactase and digest lactose, right? So in the first part where it's temporary, I've often seen that once you heal the gut, then you can slowly start adding the foods back in that were bothering you. So you can start consuming dairy, you can start consuming, different foods that were bothering you before, once you heal the gut. So that is, one thing. But dairy, again, whey or casein are two of the milk proteins, and intolerances to whey or casein are also extremely common. So it's not always the lactose free milk that's going to help you. So you will have to get tested to know exactly what you're reacting to, right? So make sure that, always check for food sensitivities. Always, if you are bloated and gassy, and if you struggle with a lot of odor when it comes to gas, making sure you're looking at your food, you're taking a realistic approach of what you eat. You shouldn't be overeating, and then making sure that, it's lactose. So try going on lactose free milk, and if that's not helping, then it's time to completely cut it out. The second most common thing that will lead to a lot of bloating and gas is also gluten, right? So, in people who are gluten sensitive or gluten intolerant, gluten will create a lot of inflammation in the digestive tract, and that will cause different symptoms. Constipation is another common one, diarrhea is another common one. You may get a lot of abdominal pain or discomfort because of the distension, or you may also start having a lot of gas, right? Now again, when it comes to gluten intolerance, gluten is a protein. Glutenine and gliadin, they're proteins found in wheat, rye, spelt, and barley. Sometimes for certain people, they are gluten intolerant, they react to the whole spectrum of gluten grains. For other people, they only react to wheat, right? So you have to check what it is that you're reacting to, but you will have to ensure that you are taking out the foods that you're reacting to. The third most common thing is different fruits and vegetables that belong to the cruciferous family. These are extremely healthy foods, but they are naturally gassy, right? So we are talking about Brussels sprouts, we're talking about cabbage, we're talking about cauliflower, we're talking about broccoli, bok choy. So these are called cruciferous vegetables. And if you are replacing your rice with cauliflower rice, or if you're eating a lot of broccoli, you are going to be bloated and gassy, right? And especially if you have a lot of what we call vata aggravation in the gut, eating cruciferous vegetables is going to further aggravate it, and you will be even more gassy, right? So one of the ways you can help with this is you can cook the cruciferous vegetables. So do not eat it raw. Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, always steam it. You can saute it and eat it, and that is the one way it's not going to be very gassy for you, right? Or if it's still uncomfortable, then you may have to replace it. Now the next reason is beans and lentils, right? So beans and lentils are another a food group which are really good source of plant based protein. So often we see that when we're transitioning from a meat eating, or a carnivorous diet to something that's a plant based diet, people will replace a lot of the meat with beans and lentils because they are extremely good in the protein source, right? They can be fantastic sources of protein, and they're very healthy. They also have good amounts of fiber, but they cause extreme amounts of bloating and gas in some people, right? So beans, lentils, they have certain sugars called oligosaccharides, and these are indigestible, and these are then broken down by the bacteria in the intestines, and that is why the bacteria in the intestines are now creating gas, right? So beans, lentils, make sure you avoid them if you're reacting to them, otherwise you're good to go. Again, when choosing beans and lentils, what you can do is make sure it's not canned, right? If you buy the fresh beans and lentils, make sure you soak them. And one of the tip that I give all my clients is add 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar to the water when you're soaking your beans and lentils. You can also let them sprout a little bit so they will be easier on the digestion, right? So take a big pot of water, you can add your beans, you can add 1 cup, 1 cup of beans, maybe 2 3 cups of water, and put 1 tablespoon apple cider vinegar, let it sit overnight, and then you can drain it, you can rinse it, and then you can cook your beans, right? Another spice that works extremely well when it comes to beans and lentils is called asafoetida or hing in the Indian language, and that will help with bloating. So that's an anti-bloat spice, works fantastically. Now we've discussed about 4 food categories. The fifth thing that will cause a lot of bloating is artificial sweeteners, right? Especially something that is a sugar alcohol. So xylitol, erythritol, sorbitol, right? Sorbitol is also commonly found in different foods. It's an artificial sweetener. Erythritol, xylitol are natural. They are derived from the birch bark, but these are not digested well, right? So these are going to be difficult for people to digest, and they may result in a lot of bloating as well as gas. So if you are somebody who is going healthy, who's replacing a lot of your sugars with um, any natural or artificial sweeteners, always check for these and make sure that they are not bloating you. Namaste Uttam ji, nice to see you. So that these are the few reasons, why we're bloated. Now the third thing that I was going to discuss is 5 things that you can do to get rid of bloating and gas, right? So the number one thing to do is always look at any kind of sensitivities that you have and make sure that you are avoiding, those. So that is the number one thing to do, right? So if the food is causing the bloating, then no matter what you do, you will end up being bloated. So make sure you take the wheat out, you take the dairy out, you take the gluten out, or whatever it is that's required to help with the digestion, right? The second thing is often a digestive enzyme works break the food down. If you're unable to digest food, if the food sits there for a long time, if it makes you extremely uncomfortable, something like a digestive enzyme is going to help break the food down for you, and that will really prevent that excess bloating and excess gas, right? So if you also come into blue water nutrition, we have different varieties of enzymes. We have some that are for plant based foods. We have some specific ones if you are somebody who's doing a keto diet, and we have specific enzymes for people who are eating a lot of meat or have a lot of animal based diet. So there are going to be different enzymes that will work differently depending on the kind of diet that you have. So if you walk into the store, we can always walk you through which one you need to take to prevent that bloating and gas, right? Now, there are certain simple herbs that can help with bloating. One of them is chamomile. So, chamomile usually soothes any of the irritation in the gut, and it also helps you calm down. And that is also one thing that can help with bloating. My favorite spice is fennel. So, fennel is another spice that will help you, get rid of bloating and gas. And fennel seeds, you can chew on them easily. Like you can just, chew on your fennel seeds after your meals, and it works as a mouth freshener. It also works extremely well as um, like an anti-bloat thing, right? Now the fourth thing is the Ayurvedic way. Like we talk about always working with Agni, but if you have excess gas and bloating, this is a sign that you have a lot of vata aggravation in your stomach. So in such a way, even oiling the navel region is extremely beneficial. So what you can do is you can take a small glass bottle, you can add some coconut oil or sesame oil or even ghee, clarified butter, and make sure you put that oil bottle in another warm water, right? So you are liquefying and warming the oil, but not heating it directly over flame, which will oxidize the oil. Now you take 4 to 5 drops of this oil and you insert it in your belly button and you let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes. Then you can gently massage it with your hands, and that will help calm down this excess vata that's happening in the gut, right? So this is another way where you can stop feeling extremely bloated. You can stop feeling extremely, you know um, gassy, right? Another fantastic way is to up your exercise. A lot of the time, because you are not active, you're sedentary, that is one of the reasons why your digestion is not working as well, right? And most people don't correlate digestion to activity level, but you have to, like, digestion really aids, activity really aids digestion. So, another simple thing you can do at home is after you eat your meals, make sure you're not lying down or sleeping for at least 3 hours, right? So, no napping after meals. And if you walk 100 steps in your home after you eat your meals, That will help with the digestion, and that will prevent any kind of bloating or excess amounts of gas happening in the stomach, right? So this is my talk for today. Do you have any questions so far? So I know a few of you are watching here live. If you have any questions, do let me know. For next week's Wellness Wednesday, I will be discussing about, let me check the topic first. Yeah, I'm going to talk next week about 10 best foods for gut health. So that's what we will be discussing next week. So let me know how this video was. If there are any specific topics you want me to discuss about, you can also post them in the comment section. And I will make sure that the next few videos I will cater towards those topics. We have the topic of hormones coming up in the month of May. For the April, we are discussing all about gut health. Hi, Isha. I'm just wrapping up the talk on bloating and gas. So nice to see you online. And if you know somebody that struggles with bloating, if you have that friend who's constantly bloated, constantly gassy, you can share this video with them. You can send it to them privately if you don't want to embarrass them by tagging them under this video. But feel free to share this video with them so they can benefit, they can learn how to keep their digestive system healthy and how to prevent bloating and gas. So, thank you all for watching this live. I will see you next Wednesday at noon, 12 o'clock, where we will discuss about different foods that can keep your gut healthy as well as happy. Bye